My name is Christopher Fields. I'm an NLP coach of 12 years.
My name is Ayo and I am an internationally certified trainer of neuro-linguistic programming.
Today, we're going to go over the law of assumption, how to properly use it, why it's important, and other methods that kind of mingle in between, and a little bit of scientific reasons as to why it works out. So, would you like to start? I want you to take the floor on this one because you're the one that said you have 5 pages of notes, so let's see them.
Well, okay. So I guess where I want to kick this off is, the importance of the law of assumption. We're going to touch on a number of different things as we go through the content that we've got to share. But one of the key aspects of the law of assumption is in the name. Assumption. You have to assume that things are the way that you want them to be. That's, the key component, and there's quite significant differences between the law of attraction and law of assumption, which we'll get into. So assuming that things are the way that you want them to be is not just thinking that things are the way that you want them to be. You have to engage all of the senses in a very specific way in order to create this space where the manifestation becomes possible. So engaging your thinking in addition to your feelings, your internal images that you create in your mind, the sounds that you hear, what you're saying to yourself, and even including things like taste and smell that might be included in the thing that you're wanting to manifest.
Let's
Go
pause
on.
right there for people that may be confused. So, you are in your current state of life. You want to manifest or have a different state of life. How do you get from point A to point B? And this, what we're talking about today, is the law of assumption. A lot of people are slightly familiar with the law of attraction, which is that fad book that came out a few years ago, The Secret. And another word that can be used instead of assumption for more probably religious driven people, so it kind of connects in their head better, is believe, which sounds extremely easy to do. Oh, believe this is just happening. But believing is so hard to do, to especially wake up in your current lifestyle and just believe that you're in point B instead of point A. Hardest thing to do, but we'll go back to your explanation. I just wanted to sum that up really quick.
Yeah, key point to make, clarification for people that are watching, which what you said about believing, it is less easy to do that when you're faced with a current reality that is in either opposition or doesn't align nicely with what it is that you're trying to achieve or trying to manifest in the way that you want your life to be. But one of the key things is, taking portions of time to do the practices that are required. For example, meditations, where you can just block out your current reality, your physical reality, and step into this version of reality that you want to create, which is where you're going to be engaging and using all of your senses to really just step into and be it. And I think that's one of the key parts about the law of assumption is that you have to act as if in this, space where you are creating this reality that you want to have, it has to be so real that it's like it's happening now. And I think that's one of the key things that is important for people to really embrace is the being. All of the senses, everything is exactly the way that you want it to happen. And I think later on perhaps we're going to take people through how they can, maybe like a couple of steps as to how they can go from thinking about their current reality and then what is the reality that they want to create, and then how they actually go about embodying that and creating perhaps visualizations or meditations for themselves, or perhaps make some suggestions about how people can do that.
So, a good quote is energy goes where emotion flows. where you can use your emotions and beliefs to create this reality. Now, before it sounds too hocus pocus for many listeners out there, there are a lot of physical ways, not just mental, even though mind is everything, your thoughts are everything. Even if we're put law of assumption to the side, put your future to the side. If you, the term wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you're gonna have a bad day all day. It's negative thoughts create more negative thoughts. Positive thoughts create more positive thoughts. There's a momentum of emotions there. So motion flows, our emotion goes where emotion flows. Our inner. Oh no, never mind. I did not. I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, I think I wrote that wrong. Energy flows where emotion flows. Now, with that being said, emotion comes first. Now, a lot of people think, let me do X, Y, Z, and then I will feel great. But it's extremely important to understand that you have to embrace yourself in that emotion. Even in your worst and darkest days, you have to embrace yourself in that emotion before those great things happen. So it's never exercise and then emotion. So it's always emotion and then exercise. Now, I'll get to the physical aspect of how you can change your mindset for the law of assumption. But once again, to reiterate, so say you are in the very opposite position of where you want to be in life. You know how people ask you on job interviews, where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, where do you want to be today? Or where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? It doesn't matter. But you're currently not there. So how am I going to get there? Everything is mine. So every day I'm going to imagine that I am already there. I'm already a billionaire. I'm already on my yacht cruising through the Caribbean. I'm already have the love of my life, etc. Assume it in your head already. It's already happened. I woke up feeling happy today because I know I'm about to go drive to my yacht. Now, throughout the day, here's some physical aspects you can do. If you are slumming it, you want to be that billionaire, wake up, take a shower, put a suit on. This is going to resonate with your brain. I'm here. I'm getting in place. I'm putting everything in place right now. And it's going to help your imagination work better. Also, periodically, once again, this may sound a little hocus pocus, but close your eyes. Say you're standing on a dock somewhere. Close your eyes and just imagine you are where you want to be in a year or 5 years from now. I'm not standing on the dock of a local fishing pier. I'm standing on the dock of the yacht I just bought. Just have this in imagination, 10, 20 seconds, as long as you can, really. And here's the mechanics of it, though. And this is where it sounds a little silly, per se, because physicists can't put it into the right or the correct, appropriate terms as to how it works. But basically, when I imagine I'm at point A, I want to be at point B, so I imagine I'm already at point B. That's all it takes. And now the universe does its tricks. Those tricks are hard to articulate as to how they work. They're hard to articulate as what they are and what they're exactly doing. But to put it in a nutshell, once you create this thought pattern of this is where I'm at, I'm already there, it's already happening, then the universe shifts piece by piece to line up exactly where your thought process already is. Now, let me tell you this. Here's a problem. Here's a problem with saying to the universe, I know I'm rambling. I know I wanted you to speak more on this one.
No, go for it. I'll make notes and I'll come in when I'm ready. No, it's fine. Go.
When I'm in my hamster wheel, it doesn't stop. Okay.
Go for it.
So when you tell the universe, I want $1 million. I want $1 billion. I want a yacht. I want this house I saw. What you're saying when you say I want tells the universe I don't have. That's the problem in our language. Now we're not going to add this probably to this conversation. That's a conversation for a different day. How super important language is not to other people, but in your own unconscious mind, how it makes you react and act every single day. So, but when you tell the universe, I wish this would happen, the universe says, gotcha. That means it's not happening. I'm going to mirror what you just said. It's not happening. You are saying you don't have a thing. Cool. Checkmate. No thing. But if you tell the universe, thank you for this $1 billion you just put in my account every day, then eventually it's going to align. The universe says, oh, this is a thing. This is a thing now. We're going to align and make it a reality. Now, one last piece to the physical exercises you can do aside from dressing the part every day. I'm sure anybody even listening to this video is smart enough. I think probably the listeners, anybody that clicks a law of assumption videos got some type of brain in their head. So wearing suits, that can be applied to many different ways. But something I do specifically, something I've done research on that seems to be extremely helpful for people is writing out a list. It can be on your computer. It could be a handwritten list. I would probably say a handwritten list is better. But you write out how you want your life to be, verbatim. I am doing this career. I am making this much money a year. Let me retry. Thank you for allowing me to make this much money a year. Thank you for this career. Thank you for the love of my life. Thank you for this beautiful house. Thank you for this yacht. And you're telling the universe, thank you for all these things I have. And now there's a metaphysical way to look at it. There's a psychological way to look at it. So it doesn't matter what side of the fence you fall on. These are both two aspects that help the brain focus in and align to get you to point B from point A. Does that make sense? That makes sense, right? Okay.
Absolutely. Before you move on to a different point, were you going to say something else on what you've just said?
No, I'll reiterate what you said. When you're imagining these things, it's important that you draw in as much senses as possible. So let's take the example of standing on the fishing dock. What do you smell? You smell, you might be in freshwater. Imagine you're smelling the salt water in there. Imagine you're hearing the seagulls that are flying and eating bread off of the porch of your yacht or whatever annoying seagulls do. Imagine feeling the sun beam down on you. Imagine all your senses. It helps. I don't even know a good way to put this. It shapes the imagination in such a precise way that it helps you get more accurate and quicker results. Would you agree with that? Okay.
100%. And to add to that, I would even go so far as, obviously, we are both practitioners. You're a master practitioner. I'm a trainer of NLP. What NLP has added to this, there's a lot of crossover, I think, in some of the things to do with the law of assumption and NLP, and I know that you're going to touch on NLP modeling in a little while. But I just want to touch on NLP goal setting and the art and science of goal setting and what NLP has actually contributed to that, because it is specifically looking at those aspects of all of the senses, bringing all of the senses in. But what it does from a psychological perspective is it actually engages the unconscious mind, the subconscious, if you want to call it, which some people are more familiar with that term. It engages the subconscious in driving and striving towards this thing without you even having to necessarily do so much at the conscious level. When you engage all of the senses, the unconscious mind or the subconscious will then strive towards achieving this thing, and it activates what's called the RAS, so the reticular activating system in the brain. So you'll see more of the thing that you want to achieve. It's like the universe will align people, place, and things so that you're able to achieve and work towards the thing that you actually want to achieve. So the RAS is like, when you focus on something so specifically and you get so detailed about what it is, you're giving your unconscious mind or your subconscious a specific instruction about what it is that you want. So it's like it's like a detonating machine. It just strives towards that thing. So in addition to all the things that you're manifesting and that you're creating on the perhaps metaphysical plane, which I know that some people may think that that's a bit woo-woo, but it's I think it's an important part of the conversation. while you're doing all of these things on the metaphysical level, there's also scientific things that are happening in your brain that are connecting with the thing that you want and actually helping it to move towards and see more of the thing that you want, see more opportunities, aligning, different people to come into your world that will help you move more swiftly and more quickly and with more speed towards the thing that you actually want to achieve. So that is like the scientific aspect of one of the scientific aspects of what we're talking about. There is something else that I want to add, but I can see that you want to come in and say something, so I'll give you
I was
space.
actually gonna ask if there's like a Zoom setting that I can turn your British accent off with. No? Okay.
Unfortunately, you're stuck with it.
I have more science I have a really good science to add.
Go for it.
Well, I think we're probably already there. No, I'll give you the story though. I've told people this story. This happened last year, where I got deep into meditation. Now, meditating with the law of assumption. Now, when I say meditation, I'm not talking about putting crystals on my forehead and doing this kumbaya stuff in the middle of a room with candles. I'm not talking about any of that, because I know that is a stereotypical way to look at it. Nah, you just listen to some sound. It could be binaural beats or whatever. Lay down in your bed, 30 minutes to an hour, just shut everything out and do you. Think about where you want to be. Imagine you walking these places, doing these things, going up to food stands, like just acting out in your own movie. Now, every night for 2-3 weeks, I was in between transitioning from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta. And yeah. And I've told a few people this story. It's so accurate, it's so weird to me. And it's one of like 3 or 4 occurrences that happen in this time frame. I'm just going to give you one of them. But I was like, this place isn't working out for me right now. I need to go do something. And in my head, every night, I would picture myself in a black suit, standing at a corner up a skyscraper and looking out over a city. No idea, never been to this place. I created it in my mind. And I did this for 2-3 weeks. I am not kidding. From 6 weeks from the day I started it, I flew to Dallas, which was last minute. I was going to Atlanta, and then like almost the day before I was going to Atlanta, like, I need you to fly to Dallas to do some training. Fine. So I went there for a week or 2. I can't remember at this point, but within 2 or 3 days of being there, I went into some training room. I was after a lunch break, and I got there early because I'm always early, never late. And I'm standing there with my hands in my pocket, black suit, top of the skyscraper, all glass windows. I'm looking out over a city. And I said, I got that deja vu feeling. I'm like, this is the exact 2AT what I was manifesting in my head. I've never been here before. I've never been to Texas before, ever. And somehow within a 6-week period, I was in a place that I created in my mind. It existed, and it just blew my mind. And I'll never forget that story. There was a few other occurrences that happened just like that. And I'll tell you this, if you're a person that meditates with the law of assumption, within, maybe this is different for each person, but within 6 or 7 days, you'll start to see signs. You'll start to see cars you were thinking about. You'll start to see this, that, and you're like, everything's closing in on me. It's the craziest thing. And I don't know many people that do nightly meditations with the law of assumption. Maybe nightly meditations just to, just get out of the world's problems, etc. Very therapeutic. But when we're talking about the law of assumption specifically, we're trying to manifest that new life, that better life for us. And it takes days to actually start seeing signs that the universe says, I hear you, I see you. Here's the thing. It's so weird. And if you think I'm BSing you about that, just do it 4 or 5 days. You'll see, and you'll come back and be like, damn it, that was weird. Yeah, that's all.
before you move on,
All right.
that was one of the points that I wanted to come back to, was the importance of a daily practice of some kind. You mentioned, the kind of the sitting on or standing at the dock, or taking a couple of minutes a day to be present and to imagine that thing that you're wanting to create and manifest. I think there is something really, really powerful to be said for actually having a daily practice. You're giving yourself a dedicated amount of time per day, whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's an hour, that you're actually spending in that space of creation and creating that thing in your mind of what it is that you want to achieve. Now, I know that you have some plans, I don't know whether you want to share it yet, about something that you're going to create to help people to do that. Not yet?
I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Black Cube?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just haven't recorded it yet, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a specific method I use that helps like you envision things better and more accurately, I guess you would say.
So in the future, there'll be something that Chris will be sharing with people to help them focus their attention in a way that's going to help them to manifest things using the law of assumption, which is incredibly powerful. And finding something like that, I think, is invaluable. And when you do use it, you will start to see, like you said, those things that you are envisioning, more of those things will start to show up. So just reiterating what you said about the importance of a dedicated practice to it. If you really want it, you will find the time and you will make the time to actually make it happen, because it only happens if you do it, right? If you just think about doing it, if you want to do it, you might make a few steps towards the thing that you want, but you actually have to commit to doing it. You have to make space in your life for this creation process to occur, correct?
Yeah, and here's the most important part. I know I've already mentioned this, but if you get done meditating your new future, if you come out and think that's just dream world and you go back to reality, fail. The next day when you wake up, you have to say, I know that thing's happening. We're just playing the clock now. It's all on time's clock or hand or whatever. There's a saying I'm forgetting right now, but it's a timing issue. But if you don't believe it, absolutely won't happen. You have to wake up and say, and you can physically see and hear these thoughts come up and say, well, Chris, that's not reality. This is reality. You have to tell them to shh. I'm not gonna say bad words, but you have to push them. You have to push them out in a very physical, mean way. No, this is happening. I'm just waiting for it. I'm doing my part. It's gonna happen. And if you think this is hocus pocus stuff, research any multimillionaire, any billionaire, and they will tell you exactly the same thing. I'm gonna give you some sources at the end, by the way. But unless you have something to say to that, I'm gonna roll into the NLP modeling techniques.
Well, just a quote that kind of stuck out to me, that kind of just really hones in on what you just said, by a very famous psychologist from, I think it was 1950s, called William Blake. And what he said is, what seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be. So it has to be as if it is in order for it to occur. You have to spend that time making it as though it is and believing it, which comes back to what you said at the beginning about the importance of belief. If you don't believe it, of course, you can just say goodbye to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But go on that point, or something different.
And I'm just gonna say, it's so, once again, even for me and myself, I've struggled with this a lot, to actually believe something is happening. I know it's a cliche term, and I understand you can't just say, oh, just believe it, and it's that easy. You got to focus in. You got to really try. Mentally, you got to focus everything and say, I don't give a shit. See, I did it. I said one. Damn it. I said two. Now. It's like a snowball. You really have to focus in and stay solid with yourself. I'm going to believe as long as possible. Now, in a few days, if you just do this for a few days, you're going to start to see signs. I can't exaggerate this enough. You're going to see signs from the things you're manifesting. And you're like, and it's going to increase your belief. And then you really don't have to worry about it at that point. You're like, oh, it is happening. The thing he said is actually happening now. Mind blown. So yeah, I know it sounds easy. First few days, focus, and it comes true, trust me.
But on that point as well, I think it's something that people can tend to experience is that in life we can get distracted from what it is that we're focused on creating. Life happens, negative experiences happen to us. So how do we then move through those and make sure that we're still able to focus on, like, you know, when your reality is in either in complete opposition to the thing that you want to create, or when you are experiencing, there's a conflict between what your current reality is and what it is that you're wanting to manifest. I have some things that I want to share with people as to what they can do, but I would just want to ask, do you have any things that people can do to kind of help to redirect their focus and help them to stay moving towards the thing that they're wanting to manifest?
Not exactly, because each person is different, whatever works for you. But I will say this. When you start your law of assumption process and you move forward and something really bad happens and you're like, it's not working. That's not true. But because when I explained earlier how the universe has to shift everything to align you where you need to be, that also means bad things or bad people in your life drop off. And it has to be that way. If you want to get to point B, you're gonna have to lose things that you can't comprehend why it's not helping you work out in life, but the universe knows. Call it God, call it the universe. Everybody's different. It's all the same. It's gonna shift, and you're gonna lose things, and you're gonna be like, oh, this is a failure. This is not working. No, that means it is working. If you see any major changes quickly, which you will, that means it's working. You're on the right page. So anyways.
So one of the things that I would say is that we have this incredible belief, human beings have this incredible belief that we're not in charge of our thinking. One of the really important things is to understand that we and only we are in charge of what we allow into our brains and what we decide to reject. So when people can actually come to the realization that we and only we get to decide and get to control what takes residence in our minds, then we can actually start to be more guided and more directed towards the things that we want to achieve in life. We have approximately 90,000 thoughts that go through our minds every single day. What are we doing with those thoughts? What are we focused on? What are we guiding towards? What are we guiding our lives towards? And when we can actually take responsibility for choosing and rejecting the thoughts that we want to have, and choosing those thoughts that are actually going to help us to move towards the thing that we want, I think that can really empower us and help us to be more focused in creating this life using the law of assumption.
Yeah, what you're saying, unfortunately, is just not easy to do.
I know.
It sounds easy.
I know.
But you actually have to go in solitude, if you will. You have to break away and say, it's me time with my mind. So I can understand how I'm taking in information and pushing out bad information. It's super hard. It's extremely possible for everyone. But you actually have to be committed, for sure.
Absolutely. But I think, again, it comes back to this point that if something is important enough to you, then you will do what it takes to remove the negative influences from your life so that you can have that really dedicated focus towards the thing that you want to achieve.
Yep.
If it's not important, then cool, you won't do it. But if it is, then you remove the distraction, you remove the clutter, you remove the things that are not helping you to be focused on what it is that you want to create and then you have more mental capacity to focus on the thing that you're manifesting and wanting to achieve.
So let's move along. So I'm looking at the clock.
Are we already?
So in the world of neurolinguistic programming, aka NLP, modeling is extremely similar to a law of assumption. I guess probably the biggest change is that when you're modeling someone's behavior, which is like a celebrity or a musician, someone you aspire to be. It could be your father, it could be, it could be whomever that, is a notch above you, a place where you want to be, the point B in your life. And there's about 4 or 5 known techniques. She has her own technique that she prefers. I have my own. So I'll let her conscientious. Oh, how do you say that word? Conscientious?
I don't know.
I guess I probably never said it out loud before.
I think you should go first.
Okay. Well, I will go with mine. So this is
and then I'll decide whether I want to contribute anything further.
No, you have to. That's the whole point.
Okay.
As long as maybe you're not long-winded. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the clock. But
wrap things up. Okay, go.
So the way I learned it, I guess, is better defined as the pure NLP trance method. Okay, and it's literally exactly what we already explained. You just, instead of seeing yourself in the future, you take someone you admire, someone you aspire to be. I'm going to use Nicolas Cage. Now, I don't want to be Nicolas Cage. He's just always been one of my favorite actors. I know a lot of people think it's corny, whatever. I don't care. Go fly off in an airplane if you think that. We're just going to disagree today. But Nicolas Cage is awesome. So I'm going to use him. Now, in my mind, when I do this meditation, it doesn't even have to be meditation. Just when I think about myself, I'm going to mirror the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he thinks, if I can gain that or grasp that aspect. Opening the car doors, driving, anywhere, everywhere. I'm going to imagine I'm me, but I'm mirroring everything he does, the way he acts, the way he, speaks to people, everything. And just like the law of assumption, it basically, we have a successful person and then you mirror their mannerisms, and then the universe shifts to align to how they got there or why they got there. Now, her method's a bit different. We had quite a long, controversial conversation about this last night, but and I will say her way makes sense, but I just feel like it's, for me personally, just harder to pull off. But please, in about the approximate time length, if you
60 seconds.
I think that took longer than 60 seconds. Maybe not.
Well, the reason I wasn't necessarily going to add this to the conversation was because I think it kind of veers off track a little bit from the law of assumption. But I do think it's an important aspect to add to. I think your method of modeling, of NLP modeling, is very much more aligned with the law of assumption, whereas mine takes it off in a slightly different direction.
So weird you didn't say that last night.
I did.
No, I did. Okay.
No. When we were speaking, I definitely agreed with you about that. I did. I agreed with you.
Nevertheless, your method is connected for sure. So
the way that I learnt and teach NLP modeling is you find somebody, because NLP is a study of excellence and how our thinking creates behavior and then allows us to create behavior of excellence based on modeling other people who are excellent at what they do. That's the whole theory of, where NLP was founded from. So the way that NLP modeling, or the way that I understand it, is that you find somebody who's excellent at what they do and you interview them and you find out how it is that they're excellent at what they do. So what is it that's going on inside their brain inside their mind that helps them to be excellent. So every single thing that we do in life, from getting dressed in the morning to eating our food to having a shower to writing to talking, is run by an internal strategy that takes place in the brain. So when you identify what the strategy is that somebody runs in order for them to be excellent at something, and then you install it in yourself using specific techniques that can be used when you understand the processes of NLP, then you too can become excellent at the thing that the other person is excellent at in a very, very short space of time. So where it may have taken them 15 to 20 years to become excellent at something, when you understand something called their meta programs, their values, their beliefs, their strategies that they run in order to be excellent at the thing that they do, and then you install those in yourself, you in a very, very rapid space of time can also become excellent at the thing that they do. The limitation there, which Chris identified, was that you have to be in a position to be able to interview somebody who is excellent to the degree that you want to also be excellent at, which isn't always accessible to many people, especially if we're talking about people who are famous or, you know, in very, very high status in society. That isn't always accessible to other people. So Chris's way of doing it is actually more accessible than my understanding of NLP modeling. Quick enough for you?
Well, I was going to ask because I know that like in the United States, we use miles, we use kilometers.
Miles as well.
You use miles as well? What do you use for seconds? So if I had said 60 seconds, what would you use for 60 seconds?
Seconds, obviously.
Minutes?
Yeah. I'd say 2 minutes. Anyway, we're wasting time. Just crack on.
So I have these two scientific examples. One was done by a physicist. I'm not sure if the other was done by a few people or corrected by a few people. I'm going to be as basic as possible with these two examples because I don't want to butcher it. Physics, though I love it, and I love quantum physics, I love quantum mechanics. When I try to explain it, I sound stupid. So I'm going to dumb it down as much as possible just to get the idea to your head. Now, the first one, a lot of people are probably familiar with Erwin Schrodinger's cat experiment. Easily YouTubeable, easily Googleable. But basically, the principle of it was he put a cat in a box and he put something that could kill the cat in the box. So when the cat was covered by the box, the observation was the cat is both alive and dead at the same time because you have no idea. And Chris, what does that have to do with the law of assumption? That means you in the universe can be great and ungreat at the same time. Is simply based off of your observation or whatever you believe. Whatever you believe is the thing. So there's not a true answer. It's just whatever your focus is, whatever you believe. Moving on, this is probably a lot more relatable. So the double slit method, also known as the observer effect. I'm really gonna butcher this one because there's so much like scientific. So basically, photons, light, can be particles and waves at the same time. And how it's set up is they had like let's just say a board with two slits through it, okay? And they shine a light at it, and then there's a back wall. So when they shine a line, they notice that the light doesn't make two slit pattern on the back wall. It actually makes like 5, 6, 7, 8, all a big wave pattern on the wall. And they're like, how was that possible? We don't understand. So then they put detectors, cameras, if you will, next to both slits. And then once they observed it, the pattern stopped and it only made two slits. And what they concluded is that once a wave, I might butcher this part. Once a wave form, and there's everybody is a waveform, your whole body, everything's a wave, is observed, it then collapses into a particle. So it goes from the Schrodinger's cat theory of it being alive and dead to being it alive or dead once it's observed. So once again, if you're using the law of assumption and you say, no, this is my life, I believe it, then that's where it will collapse down. I hope that made sense. I try to be as basic as possible. Please do yourself a favor. I'm going to go ahead and add my last part while I'm on that. The two things, if you're interested in this, which you should, everyone should be, the two things you should YouTube and Google and read and read and read. One is called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I've fallen asleep many nights listening to this. It's like an old recording. Maybe there's a newer recording where somebody just read off what it was, but you can find a million of these on YouTube. It's amazing. It's basic principles, but if you follow the basic principles, you succeed. Second, anything with Neville Goddard. That's Nevillegoddard. I believe that's the correct spelling. Anything with that guy is beautiful. Now, I will tell you, it's been many decades, probably closer to 100 years since he's made audio recordings or video. Well, actually, I don't know any video recordings of him. Well, audio. So it's outdated. It's hard to listen to, but there are plenty of people on YouTube that reread his same words, same message. A must. He's the #1 person in my book that teaches this stuff. He's the one that got me into this stuff, actually. Amazing stuff. Not even if you don't practice it, but if you just listen, it just makes you feel refreshed mentally by listening to it, and just helps you maybe correct some bad habits that you have in your life. I'm going to scratch the other stuff. It's not relevant. And it opens a whole new door. I think that's a whole new podcast.
We can do another one, can't we?
Yeah, that's a whole different.
We'll make this accessible to people, keep it to an hour. What time are we on, by the way?
Are
we getting there?
I think we're around 50 minutes.
Okay. So just to kind of add, I think one of the important aspects to add is the difference between the law of attraction and the law of assumption, because I know that a lot of people, because of The Secret and because of how famous it became, how popular it became, a lot of people are familiar with the law of attraction. Many people may be new to the law of assumption, and it's like, okay, so what does the law of assumption bring that the law of attraction doesn't? So just to make that real clear distinction is that the law of attraction is really focused on thoughts. It's focused on, okay, if you think positively, positive things will happen to you. It's all about mindset. And I think the point that we want to drive home today is that it's not just about mindset. And this is kind of coming back full circle to what we were talking about in the beginning. Law of assumption is so much deeper than the law of attraction. It's focusing your energy, your attention, your thoughts, your feelings, your internal self-talk, how you feel on the inside, what internal sounds are you hearing, what images are you picking up, what smells, what tastes. You have to embody it as if it is happening to you now. And that is a crucial distinction to make. It's not just about thinking it, it's about feeling it. It's the emotion that you bring to the creation of your reality that you're making. And so that's why I think the law of assumption is really an important addition. Go on.
I will say this. Another word for the difference is law of assumption is more specific. So it's not like, oh, I found a $20 bill, that's positivity attacking me. But law of assumption, it says, I will find a $20 bill today, and you find it. It's more specific, it's more narrowed down. Now,
or even I have found, it's being in that moment, isn't it? It's saying, I already have this thing that I want. You're just then waiting for the universe to align with what it is that you say that you have. Correct?
Yeah. I was unsure if I wanted to add this part because it's controversial. People are different, and rightfully so. Thankfully, everyone's different and believe different things. But I will say, I was never interested in the Bible until I looked at it through this lens. And then I saw the teachings and the words where it say you got to align emotions with beliefs. That's how you get to the kingdom of heaven, etc., etc. It's riddled. if you start from first to last, and instead of saying this is the Bible, just say, well, this is a new quantum physics book or a new law of assumption book. And you read it in that perspective, and perspective is vital about everything in life. It depends from what angle you're looking at. If you read it in that angle, for the people that can't make sense of the stories, for me, it made sense when I just looked through a different lens. And I was like, bingo, I get it now. And the law of attraction, the law of assumption is riddled through that book. But you'll never hear that. You won't hear that a lot because that is not the standard, you know, especially in the southeast United States. That is not the standard teaching, but it's there. Go read it with your own eyes. So there, and not just the Bible, every Bible. Just everybody teaches this from different perspectives, and the people that don't practice, it's almost mind-blowing because it's like everybody's telling you this is the thing to do. Why aren't you doing it? People are lazy, myself included. I'm lazy as well. But anyways, not to be a dead horse, though we'll probably get banned for saying dead horse or something. But
hopefully not.
Yeah, that's all the points I have. Yeah.
I think we've touched on pretty much. I mean, there's more to say. There's definitely more to say, but I think we can do another one. We can do another one. What I will do is perhaps maybe in the notes in the description below, we can leave perhaps some pointers as to how people go from thinking about where they are now to narrowing it down to what it is that they want, and then helping them to, just so that, you know, they can take away some real value from it. I know that there will be value from what we've shared.
I'll put the links to the videos.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I just got done saying I was lazy, and now you're trying to task me with this questionnaire to put in the...
I just want to add some stuff that they can take away and really use. I'll send it to you. You can add it. Easy peasy.
Please do.
Or not. Okay, well, are we wrapping up?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Pleasure as always.
Yeah. Let me make sure I turn this off.